We on?
We on.
We motherfucking on. What up, everybody's boy Marco from Upside Down Studios. It's What the Fuck Wednesday. And we are joined by Mr. Old Guy, Greg Battle from the Ear Guys.
Peace.
We got Kitty Cat up in the corner hiding on the side of the mic there. Hi, Cat. Kind of see a boob in the arm there. And we got Greg who's always doing the ones and twos back there. First of all, I'd like to give a shout out to my daughter. Happy birthday, Mackenzie.
Happy birthday.
I got so many kids. I got so many kids.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
That's happy birthday from the Eargasm crew.
We do have a couple people missing.
I got so many kids, man. It's like happy birthday almost every day. Who did what?
I said we do have somebody missing. They're supposed to be over there, and then Jonathan is right there.
Oh, yeah, well, John's back. We got John.
I'm sorry about that.
We got Jonathan Hamill driving to Pennsylvania.
And I realized I left my crock pot on, so I turned around.
Oh, fuck. That's like a whole state behind you. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 20-minute drive.
You gotta get one of them crock pots with a timer that just shut off automatically, just in case.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will, but like I live in such an old building, and I'm just kind of like, I'll be safe.
Hell, my son-in-law's fucking mom's house just burnt up because they left a space heater on. They went to the store, came back, house gone. That was like 2-3 weeks ago.
That's fucked
I
up.
remember you talking about that.
Yeah, the fucking Mackenzie's baby dad, Drew.
Wow.
His man, his mom lost 2 of their dogs. They had 3 dogs. 2 of them got killed. And they lost everything in the house. Like I think they lost one of their cars. I mean, that's why the space heaters fucking get unplugged at the end of the night. Even if we, I try not to even use them bitches. Yeah, they just fuck. I mean, I didn't think they'd gonna burn your house up. I didn't had a plug or 2 melt, but never a fucking whole house come down from a space heater.
Well, when you have a plug mountain, that means you have an issue. You're pretty close to that motherfucker burning your house down.
A lot of the old houses have dust in them, and that dust is just like kindling once the it goes all through the wall straight up. Little
bit of dust and some spider webs holding that dust together. You got a big fucking firecracker. Yeah, shout out to all our new listeners, all our new followers. Shout out to the Eargasm guys. Shout out to Don Cody, always making them beats out there.
Yep.
John Dante coming on the show Friday, isn't he?
Yes, sir.
He got a new album releasing.
Yeah, it's releasing.
So,
it's actually.
So check out Scotty.
It's actually releasing midnight Friday night.
So yeah, it'll be on the Scotty show that he's releasing his new album. So check him out. John Dante, that kid is a fucking prodigy, man. What he can do with a guitar is amazing. That Obsidian Earth, aren't they coming out with their new CD here shortly? Greg.
Me?
Hey, Greg! Isn't Obsidian Earth coming out with a new album shortly? I think he muted himself. He done got all jacked up.
Yeah, sure the hell did. No, I was checking our feed, and then I started talking to you with my microphone off. But anyway, yeah, I think Obsidian Earth is releasing an album, and then I think Blast Alice is also releasing an album too. I'm not too sure, but don't hold me to that. But yeah, Obsidian Earth definitely is. And look, our other this dude finally walked in.
We got Big Sniz in the house.
What's up, motherfuckers?
You might want to get in the camera and on your microphone back there.
Yeah, we're just showing the titty. Now we see your beard.
Back there on the microphone.
Yeah, go to a microphone, jackass.
I don't need to be on a microphone for y'all motherfuckers to hear me.
Go sit your ass down.
Shit. Yeah, go sit down and do a mic check.
What?
So we got Big Sniz in the house now.
What's up?
Yeah, see, go sit by the goddamn mic.
Let me get my shit together. Well, I mean, I've been trying to do that for the past 20-some years, but, like, maybe I'll get it tonight.
and as usual, you know, with Big Sniz always trying to cover her up. You know, we got Joyce in the background.
She got a green shirt on.
I do have a green shirt on. So I blend in.
All right, I can make you really disappear.
No, man, I need
This
her
is like
tonight.
the Predator right now.
Right.
How's it with
Oh, grabbed him.
Close enough.
So,
Yeah, that'll work. All right, we're good.
you guys good?
Yep, I think we got it. Can you hear them?
All right, so
Can you hear me now?
Done doing our shout outs. Yeah, we can hear you.
Joyce.
Oh shit!
Joyce?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
All right.
thank you.
We're
Now.
good. Go ahead.
Oh, Joyce is sober. She's quiet. What the fuck?
Hey, I wasn't sure what was happening, so I had to bring my A game and then get drunker as I go. But start out at least coherent.
I gotta at least be able to pick up what we're talking about. Then I can go off the rails.
That's right.
Yeah,
Draw
that's
you
it.
in, make you love me, and then you're like, it's all right, she's fine. It's just Joyce.
Hey guys, you guys know Mr. Old Guy?
Yeah.
This is Jonathan
Yeah.
Hamill from the Eargasm crew. Ryan
Seen him a couple times on a couple,
Mike was supposed to join us too, but apparently they can't figure out their fucking computers.
Technical difficulties.
So, I guess we're gonna start off with the whole drug thing. I know we touched on this last show, Big Sniz. The
Somebody
last
say
show with the
drugs.
guys here, they were talking about a world where they would legalize weed and how that would be. Personally, just if it was just weed everywhere, I don't think a big change would be at all. It might be a change in one generation, but after that, you know, it's just a novelty. It'd be just like a Black and or a Porter else, and then the companies will get their hands into it, and then, you know, you'll be buying fucking 10 packs of Newport blunts, and they'll go from $2 to $5 to $10 a pack. Then there'll be the marijuana patch, so you can get away from your addiction to marijuana cigarettes.
I watched some pot
It'd
come.
just be a novelty, and it would be the same shit. You'll go to the fucking store and get some Nicorette, but it'll be like
Weederette.
Weederette, that's what you came
But
up with?
I was looking at more. Yeah, Weederette.
See you later. See you later.
Yeah, see, that's way too much shit.
Later.
THC later. I'm a marketing genius.
So,
I mean, they've already got candies and shit like that. I mean,
Why not, right?
gum.
See, what they don't educate people on is that there's two different parts of the marijuana that's in usage. The CBD is the medical value and the painkiller. It's the THC that's the
Psychoactive.
hallucinogenic. The psychoactive piece. So who cares? When I was out on the corner, it didn't matter as long as I got off. But,
yeah, who cares?
you know,
CBD, THC, you just get a bonus. You buy
CBD,
one for the other. Buy one, get one free.
PHP.
I'm still not going to change my clean date. I'm good.
But you know, my biggest thing is, you know, looking at it from not just legalizing weed, the whole Oregon experiment. Sorry, Joyce.
Where the fuck?
And the whole just who's going to actually be
Marcus sounds like he's trying to
benefiting from this
auto-tune
whole
a rap
experiment?
album right
you
now.
You think the people who are living there and the people who are on the drugs are going to benefit from it, or do you think this is going to go to like corporations and pharmaceutical companies? All the you know, far extremist groups are hate. I mean, you know, what do y'all think?
think that it's going to to some degree. At least one of them eyes is conforms to the idea of something that you can perform to make the design last. They want to have something proprietary that they can actually sell to you. Now, do I think that the big pharma will get in on that if marijuana? I think that they'll try to synthesize it.
Well, I mean, pretty much they have. I mean, you know.
Actually, I read an article a while back about how one company was working on a synthetic version, and it was just kind of like.
Well, I mean, and then they, by doing shit like that too, I mean, when they had the synthetic weed, that was bad shit, dude. I tried a few, you know.
Did you smoke the crocodile?
First, like, you know,
did you get naked and try and eat Scotty's face off?
Did I? Who did what?
The crocodile. There's that shit them dudes in Florida were smoking. Don't you remember that story where, like, the kid, attacked his buddy and, ate his face off and shit?
Wasn't that bath salts?
Yeah, they were doing that with the fucking bath salts, too.
That's what I said.
Yeah, but no, I know what Jared's talking about. It's called crocodile.
Right, that's what I said.
And it kind of made your skin kind of scaly and shit.
Yeah.
It makes you look like a leper.
Yeah, now mind you, just think about that. When you legalize drugs and leave it that broad of a statement, that's legal.
Sure, it is. Marco, compressed air that you clean your computer.
Well, I mean, just in Oregon, they said everything is legal.
Compressed air that you clean your electronics with is legal, but if you fucking spray it into a bag and huff it, you're gonna get high.
You don't even have to spray it into a bag. You just have to go real slow so you don't freeze your lungs.
That's what the straw's for.
I mean, so I've heard.
Goddamn, sounds like we got some
Dude,
professionals.
no, I'll tell you what, man. I might have done some fucked up shit in my day, but I'm gonna tell you right now, one place I draw the line is huffing anything.
I mean, I saw
dude,
it
I
on
had a
this
buddy
show
who
once.
huffed some Raid. Oh my god!
I've known dudes that have fucking huffed
We didn't
Raid.
know what the fuck he was doing.
Did you say Raid?
Raid.
Raid.
Yeah, Raid. I know motherfuckers that have huffed that.
Yeah, people come to the house, reading this, that. It's like, dude, why would you want to feel like that? Like, oh man, I don't understand why that. Nope, I don't want to.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't want no life influence either.
My uncle liked that Febreze up in a can so much he used to spray it in a bag and sniff it.
Yep.
See,
I had
remember
buddies,
as a
man.
kid,
We used to go to
out
Meijer
here.
back in the day, and I had buddies that used to just buy a can of fucking Rosinol butane, and they'd ask the clerk for a double bag just in case one had a hole in it. And we'd get back to the house, and I'd be cracking beers and smoking a joint, and they'd be sitting on the couch with a bag in their face.
And we used to huff gasoline. That's the smartest thing in the world. Smoking a blunt at the top of a wooden garage, huffing gasoline.
I mean, I've huffed a lot of diesel in the oil
should be
field, but
yeah, that's not the smartest things to do, ladies and gentlemen. We do not try that shit at home.
Go to Oregon.
Make sure you
Go to
outside in a
Oregon.
well-ventilated area.
Oregon. It's like that fucking drug commercial on the
And
radio.
don't go towards the light. Stay the fuck away from the light.
I have to stay away from the light.
Towards the light.
Wah, 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 wah.
Stay in the dark. Believe in God, He walks through the valley of the shadow of death. That's, don't go towards the light. Shit. But anyways, back to being serious about the whole drug thing. I would figure like the first thing,
I'm
a
always
lot of
serious about
the
my drugs,
environmentalist
Marco.
people, I don't understand why they don't snap about this, because all the plastic that's going to be used for needles alone, just needles. Just think about that. How much toxins are because they're what you think they're gonna find a green way to make plastic? They're trying to get rid of plastic because of green.
Well, yeah, I mean, haven't you seen the memes and shit running around social media? Like fucking Coke's legal in Oregon, but plastic straws aren't.
Yeah,
Plastic straws are illegal.
Does that make any sense?
No. Then you gotta go back to giving yourself sinus infections by using dirty dollar bills.
Plastic, though.
That's how you catch corona.
Broke up real bad there, Jared.
I said that's when you got to go back and giving yourself sinus infections, and Greg chimed in with that's how you get Rona by using your dirty dollar bills.
I'm telling you, the end of a tampon applicator works perfect.
So does a fucking key, pocket knife, pen cap.
And then you gotta look at you gotta go old school to make your fucking your meth pipes and stuff.
No, light bulb.
The aluminum foil companies are gonna blow up.
I told you, man. I told you that's what you need to invest in. Fucking Gladlock bags and fucking light bulb companies.
Or no, the little pens. You
Yeah,
remember the little pens?
The pens and the flowers.
Yeah.
The glass flowers.
Yeah. And again, you go into the metal. I mean, that choice shit, isn't that like copper or whatever it is?
Tour boy.
I mean, yeah, nobody looks at the little shit, just the ramifications of this dumb idea.
Gonna go invest in Chore Boy. Call my accountant tomorrow.
I think some of these are fears that aren't necessarily the whole truth.
I'm getting in with my man right there.
Well, hold on.
I agree.
don't think people are going to necessarily use drugs a lot more because it has more to do with arresting people less
Correct.
than it does making it available. I believe it was actually decriminalized, not legalized.
Portugal did the same thing. See,
I thought
what
it
I
was
said,
decriminalized too. No, it's a legalization.
where the problem comes, and Marco and I talked about this before, was it's only happening in Oregon. So you're going to have an influx of people from surrounding states that want to just go do their shit, and they're going to flood into Oregon. Portugal did it as a country. Portugal was able
they're going to make their own prison.
Portugal was able, since it's the entire country, it was successful. When you have just one state within the United States that's allowing this, now they're still going to have you're still going to have problems because the feds might not come into Oregon and start busting individual users over this. But the pipeline of shit flowing in there, they're not stupid and they're going to hit it. So you're going to end up with supply and demand issues. You're going to end up with excess violence because of that.
Grease in the hands.
I agree that people will go there for a taste of something that they haven't had. But I just Googled it. What I'm finding is it was decriminalized, not
correct.
legalized.
It was decriminalized because they can't make it.
Like
right. The reason it's
legalized.
decriminalized is they can't make it They can't make it legal because it's still federally illegal. So what they've done is they've decriminalized it within their jurisdiction. So the state of Oregon and the local municipalities will not be prosecuting those crimes. If, however, you are still carrying whatever or you're hit on a federal charge, you will still be prosecuted in a federal court.
Of course, because that's a federal law.
Correct. So there's a lot of legal issues there. I don't think you're going to have a major influx. I don't think you're going to have
better. But
I don't think you're going to have a major influx of people from like Texas and Florida and Ohio. What you're going to have is from bordering states where it's easy to travel to. The down and out people and the borderline people, those addicts that are close to it, are going to go there.
Their streets by pushing them to Oregon.
Well, I have a question though. So it's just decriminalized, Are you suggesting that people are going to cross state lines so they can bring drugs to get out of there?
No,
Because
no.
decriminalization doesn't mean it's available at the store.
No. You're going to find that you're going to have. I'm not saying that. Not like they're like, ooh, I can go to a dispensary and get my crack. No, what you're going to have is you're going to have those same people. They're still going to be buying it from fucking trap houses. You're still going to have the same fucking crack culture. And I'm using that one because that's what we have a big. We've got a big crack problem here in Youngstown, so I'm just using that as a specific. But replace that drug with whatever drug. But you're gonna have crackheads there because they're gonna, if they're close enough to kind of just drop over the border, they're gonna set up camp there because 2 hours away at home they're getting hassled. They gotta worry about getting busted. They gotta worry about this. They gotta worry about that. But if they just cross state lines and still be bums there. You're not going to get CEOs and housewives and plumbers and mechanics and lawyers and stuff to go, oh, crack's legal in Oregon. Fuck it, I'm going to be a crackhead. I've never done crack before. Let me drive to Oregon and smoke crack for the first time. You're not going to have, like, crack tourism, but you're going to have those people that are already succumb to that lifestyle.
Who knows with this generation of kids?
I get the joke there, but even this generation of kids, yeah, I mean, that's just not the human brain. It doesn't work that way as a mass. En masse, you're not going to have that.
No, but I'm just looking at it this way, and like I said, I hope I'm wrong. But Oregon's gonna become America's prison.
And it's like an escape. It's gonna. I can see how it could go that way. You could have a whole escape from New York kind of thing where it just turns into a prison because that's where those fucking people end up migrating to.
Yeah, you don't need guards if you have your dealers on the street.
Right.
You're not gonna go nowhere if your drugs are readily available and you're a fucking addict.
Right.
You create
go
your
there.
own bars. You create your own prison.
Now. The key is to be more like Portugal if you're going to adopt that, and where they've decriminalized it to the extent that it was like we were talking about Canada just with weed before weed became actually legal there. When I'd go visit my friends in Ontario, you could still walk down the sidewalk smoking a joint. If OPP, which is Ontario.
I don't understand when people say that.
Which is Ontario
provincial. I've done that forever.
Which is Ontario Provincial Police. They didn't even you could walk right by them. They could smell it. They could know you were doing it. But if you were minding your own business and behaving, and you were just smoking, because Canada's privacy laws are stricter than America's, they couldn't just hassle you for it. Now, if you had it or were smoking it while something else bustable was going on, they could add it to your shit. They could add it to your charges, but they couldn't just...
It's like a seatbelt law.
Yeah. It's a secondary offense, basically. Now it doesn't matter because it's legal. But, even back before it was, they couldn't, fuck with you like that.
See, the headlines in a couple articles I read, and of course, when this...
Yeah, but you know how headlines go, bro.
Stream, they made it all come out, the articles made it come out.
Sure.
You could do...
Most...
even the news people were like, you could go there and the most you'll get is $100 fine, if anything. They said, marijuana's legal, but now so is crystal meth. And so is cocaine, and so is heroin. And, they started showing, people in fucking line at the methadone clinics and shit. And I'm like, now you just put Big Pharma back in control of the prison. Big Pharma is going to be the warden of the prison, man. John back? Hi, John.
Yeah, I think we lost
him. Sorry, I keep bumping the button.
I think
that was loud as fuck.
I keep hanging up.
That was like having Jared fucking screaming in your ear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I think we lost Mr. Old Guy too.
Yeah, we lost Old Guy.
He said he had to go do something.
I want him to come back because I have a question for him. I was doing some research earlier about a certain subject that I wanted to ask him a question about.
Junior Vegas said the government's going to bring it. Yeah, the government's already bringing it. Why do you think we got so much heroin flooding the streets? It's not because of Mexico. It ain't because of the border. Some of it might be trickling in over there, but the Mexicans don't generally deal in boy. You know
no, it's coming from Afghanistan.
Oh, that shit comes from the sand people. You know, and then, and Trump's taking away all the fucking soldiers from there, or taking away a big chunk of the soldiers. And
we talked about this though. For every pair of military boots you take off the ground there, they put 2 pairs of private military contractor boots on the ground to protect the oil and to protect the drugs.
And to protect the heroin, the poppy fields. That's where it's coming from. It don't come from Asia anymore. You know,
that's where the fentanyl comes from.
Used to come from China and shit.
That's fentanyl
now.
The
heroin comes from Afghanistan.
Right. China, you just get the fentanyl, and not the good stuff, the unregulated shit.
Yeah, the Asians give you the synthetic shit that you add to it. They give you your chasers.
Your chasers. Would you like a fentanyl mixer, sir?
It cuts that heroin nice and smooth.
Yeah.
Fuck. But yeah, I mean, I think that's just a bad idea, man. And I mean, aside from the whole drug thing, just the putting back in the power shit that people don't like and they don't realize it. You know, that was just in the environmental stage, you know, the whole plastic needles. And I know that's an extreme thing, but hey, if there's an abundance or even an uptick, say there's a 2% uptick of heroin addicts for whatever reason in Oregon, then you know how many fucking needles that is?
Right?
And they're going to push, you know, using separate needles because even in New York, they had, you know, they were giving out needles and shit because they didn't want you to catch AIDS or hepatitis. So now, you know, fuck.
The statistics behind needle.
How long you could keep your. What?
No, go ahead, bud.
Go ahead, John.
Do you know how long? What? Do you know how? I think that you could keep your needle a lot longer if you don't have to worry about getting arrested for having it. So I think there's also evidence to show that needle sales could go down. Because you could actually keep them instead of having to throw it away after one use because you don't want to get a felony just for having a thing in your pocket.
I don't know. Joyce is more in the medical field. Wouldn't you get some kind of bloodborne something? You can't keep using something to keep sticking your ass. Like
dude, you're talking about a junkie. You're going to reuse that needle till it don't work no more.
You're not going to catch anything.
I didn't hear you, Jared. You're breaking up.
You're talking about a junkie, okay? They're going to keep reusing that same needle until they can't use it anymore. That's the whole thing behind needle exchange programs.
So then, like I said, the needle sales won't go up.
I believe, I mean, you're onto something there, John.
It'll go, I mean, John's saying that if they keep the needles and keep using their needles, there's will be.
I just don't think it's going to cause more needles to be sold. I just that doesn't seem like.
I don't either.
Doesn't seem realistic to me.
I don't either. They're still not going to spend their. They're still not going to spend their money on needles. You will not see an increase in quote unquote needle sales until they have the clean needle programs and they're being provided for free. They're not going to buy them. Period. I don't care if they're available and legal. They still would have to spend $5 on that fucking needle, and that's $5 less for their boy.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But when they start that program over, it's the government buying them fucking needles.
You're right.
Supplying them needles.
You're right, and I see what you're saying.
I mean, that goes into that.
But it's an exchange program. So then they're going to... So you exchange your old ones. They're not going to be laying in landfills. These things are destroyed properly because they're a biohazard.
Yeah, they have to be destroyed.
They can't be recycled. They can't be because they're biohazard. But they are destroyed. And they can't just go to a landfill because they're a biohazard. But they are destroyed. What you will see is if they start a needle program, is a dramatic decrease in diseases, infections, and in like secondary injuries that are caused by like collapsed veins and stuff that are caused by dull needles.
Right.
I mean, dull needle is almost as dangerous as a dirty needle.
Needle's a needle. Fuck, you don't want to get stuck with that shit, especially.
I mean, I don't.
My goddamn doctor.
You know, I mean, a needle. You got to think of a needle along the lines of like a knife blade or something. The sharper it is, the easier it is to cut something, the less you hurt yourself. When you're having to apply more force to put it in your vein because that needle is no longer sharp, you start doing excessive damage. Instead of a perfect cut, you're now ripping and tearing.
But as far as actual like bloodborne diseases and stuff like that, Marco, no, you're not going to have,
because you're reusing your own.
You're reusing your own.
Right.
Unless you have one, you're gonna introduce germs and bacteria from a dirty needle, whether it be a germ just like the common cold or whatever, maybe
staph.
Right, staph infection,
like
something
common,
like that.
That anybody can get from scraping their knee.
You're not going to get a brand new like bloodborne.
Yeah, you're not just going to. If you don't have hepatitis and you're only reusing your old needles over and over again, you're not getting hepatitis.
No.
Well,
that comes from sharing, not just from
the whole. Yeah, but the whole thing of the needle program and all that originally, as far as I remember, it's because people were sharing dirty needles.
Sure, because junkies don't give a fuck. They've given up, or they wouldn't be junkies.
So now because it's legal, they're responsible junkies?
No, but when you put needle exchange, I even just said junkies are going to stay being junkies. But junkies do take advantage of needle exchange programs. No, but junkies do take advantage of free needle exchange programs, because even a junkie knows, if I can just go get a new needle, I'm doing. They don't care about the disease; they care about the ease of use when they're administering their dope.
Yes, absolutely right.
I know I am. You should listen to me more often.
I'd smoke joints. I mean, if they get papers out at the gas station, people will smoke joints,
Right.
They'll use the free option.
Yeah, I guess it's whatever's more convenient. And I mean,
that's why I like to hit Sam's Club at lunchtime.
Free samples.
Free samples.
Oh, jeez. So, I mean, not only that, but you go into, like I said, the pharmaceutical companies. You know that everybody ever had it, the time where they wanted to at least try to get clean. But one time they pushed heroin or whatever you get for meth addiction or crack addiction, they give you your Suboxone or your methadone or whatever, which is just the government saying shit. And who makes benefits off that? Fucking big pharmaceutical companies. And then after you fall off the wagon or whatever, and that's just stereotypical. You fall off the wagon, you start doing your dope again. Now you're getting your dope, and then you go in that big fucking cycle again. So, you're going through the fucking needles. You're going through the government pharmaceuticals. So Big Pharma is fucking basically took back over out of the fear of COVID, dude, and the legalization of drugs.
Whoa!
Well, I don't think they ever didn't have control.
Well, actually, like I was telling Mr. Old Guy, the pharmaceutical company, and that's why a lot of people were bitching when COVID came, that, all our shit was being made overseas because I forget which administration it was, but pushed pharmaceutical companies out of America. Now,
every administration has done that with their overbearing fucking regulations.
Just listen. Now, Trump came and said, because of this, we need a vaccine now, all this other stuff. He pushed to bring the pharmaceutical companies back here in America for the purposes, and I'm just saying because everybody got their own agenda, but for the purposes of coming up with a quicker vaccine, a quicker medication.
Listen, dude.
Now,
not even Big Pharma has enough money and enough time to have completely shut down overseas and set up shop to make a fucking vaccine here in the United States since COVID started. You got to really think about the realistic timeline of things, and that's not fucking possible. An entire research, development, and manufacturing facility completely fucking created just since COVID started. It hasn't even been a fucking year.
COVID's been around for a really long time. It's just been sensationalized.
Our outbreak,
recently.
when we're saying that, we mean this COVID. They didn't just, Trump didn't, he might have talked a game, but he didn't do shit on that. If something happened in that same time span, it's something that's been in the works because of the logistics that go into a move like that. No matter what he's done economically and for business, even mighty Trump can't just snap his fingers and make manufacturing show the fuck back up. Places have to be built.
No.
You can't speed that up.
Or they have to be reopened.
No. They're not just closed like, oh, we're going on a fucking month vacation. We're going to lock the doors for a month. They were gutted. Equipment was sold or moved. Like, they've got to be completely built.
That's a lot of places will, a lot of places work. I mean, because even Jack told, like, when I had this whole conversation with Jack because I had a total different outlook on it, and then Jack schooled me on what went on in his place with the tariffs and stuff. You know, his company got flooded with so many orders because of the tariffs.
They were already an established. They were already an established mill.
They couldn't supply the whole thing.
Sure, they were already an established mill with a fired up furnace. It's not like they were. The furnace was abandoned and Trump snapped his fingers and it started back up, which is what you're saying happened with the medical industry.
No, I'm saying that's the way
so
it was
you just
portrayed
proved
in the
my
news.
point again.
Trump fucking, brought back the big pharmaceutical companies because there was a push for a fucking vaccine. That is what the headlines on the news.
That might be what the headline said, but the pharmaceutical companies followed the money.
In my eyes, that was a very bad thing. I mean, if he brought back the pharmaceutical companies and like the way they said he did, then that's bad. That's bad on him because once this shit is done with, they still control. They got now a state, let alone controlling the rest of the country. They got a full blown fucking state for a headquarters. What? And as far as the whole tariff thing with the steel companies and stuff, I didn't know
this was going on. I thought I had to bring a show, so I brought one.
Yeah.
The whole thing with the steel company and everything. What Jack was telling me, you're right. It was already established, and it was what I'm saying. It got over-flooded, and we had a lot of companies have to open back up.
A
lot of them were gutting, but there was a lot of companies there that still had their equipment.
No. That money, that equipment is worth too much money. It is either moved to the facility they're working on, or it is sold. It doesn't just sit and collect dust. That equipment's like a boat. It's like a car. If it sits, it goes to shit.
But it happened
it doesn't
so quick
sit idle.
It didn't have a chance to.
There's almost always somebody there waiting to pay for that kind of equipment of the cost.
Man, I wish he came in better because dude makes a lot of good points.
You got a point there.
So, he's right. They just dude, if you ever look at any place, once the manufacturing moves, dude, all that equipment sold, within, I don't know, weeks.
However long it takes to set up the auction and get it out, a week, a month. I mean, but it's a short time. It's short-term time frame.
Yeah, very short.
Because
if
still
it's more than a couple months, and it has to do with the type of industry and the seasons.
Right, exactly.
It's liquidated quick.
Yep. Or if they are moving overseas, sometimes if it's certain specialty equipment or whatever, it might be cheaper to move it than to relocate it than replace it. But it's either relocated or liquidated. They don't just have facility's not just sitting there idle. And these things, a lot of these things, they have to stay continuously operating, or they go to shit. It's like a steel mill furnace. Once you shutter a steel mill, you don't just fire that furnace back up. I might not have ever been a steel worker, but I've built plenty of steel mills. I mean, the two oxygen furnace renovations ago, I was on the crew that completely redid Sparrows Point in Dundalk, Maryland, which was over 20 years ago. But that foundry was razed, meaning the furnaces are obliterated. They don't fucking exist anymore. So that was the whole thing when Trump said he was going to bring it all back, and people in Dundalk were thinking that Sparrows Point was going to fucking open up again, that Beth Steel was just going to come back to life. No, motherfucker, there's billions of dollars that got to go into rebuilding your fucking furnaces, and they're not going to spend that money. Once they sit, they're done. And a lot of manufacturing equipment is that way. Especially stuff that's... when you think about pharmaceuticals, you've also got to worry about all the clean rooms and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's not just... They're not making fucking control arm bushings. You know, it's not like...
manufacturing fucking...
Look how long it takes GM to put together a car plant. It takes longer to put together a fucking production facility for pharmaceuticals.
I don't think so on that.
You want to bet?
I
built them all.
Pharmaceutical companies, the plastics, the plastics don't come from the pharmaceutical companies.
But the pressurized rooms, the negative pressure rooms, all the HVAC, the electrical, all that shit that has to be built into a facility before it can handle the equipment that's being put in it. That's not easy shit to do. It's very.
But I'm sure the logistics are all been thought out, dude. I mean, it's very hard to get a ship turned into a fucking hospital, but they did that shit.
No, that ship has been a hospital since it was built. It was specifically built to be a fucking floating hospital, and has been a floating hospital its entire fucking life.
The luxury ship that got changed over to the
that was a quarantine ship that was not turned into a fucking ICU.
Dude, they never used it. Yes, it was.
And ICUs can be set up quicker than manufacturing facilities. There's a huge difference in protocol between an ICU and a manufacturing facility.
Anybody who's so dope knows it ain't hard to fucking make a manufacturing facility.
Yeah, it is to make a clean... In a technical manufacturing facility, that's why motherfuckers don't overdose when they get it from the pharmacist unless they intentionally try to, but you accidentally overdose when you get it from somebody that mixes it in a fucking trash can. I mean, it's the fucking truth.
or in a Walmart hallway.
Pick me off of every...
Matthew and Greg, because it looked really great about a succubus. And, comes from something called sleep paralysis, where you suffer from a large number of hallucinations. Brain is awake. So that's the only thing I could really see that science is explaining away these demonic visitations while you're sleeping, that it's actually a hallucination from sleep paralysis. And that apparently 60% of the population suffers from it.
Oh, hold on. I think we got Marco back here.
Marco's back.
Why am I not?
Can't hear him now.
Yeah, what the fuck?
So I wanted to ask Mr. Old Guy if the Mormons, in their religion, have a story of a succubus.
He's not a Mormon.
He's an urban...
Mennonite.
Mennonite Mormon. Sorry, my bad.
Mormon, Mennonite, Marco, same thing.
It's an M. You know what I meant.
What the fuck? I don't know if he can hear us.
Marco, touch your nose if you can hear us.
He can
hey!
hear. We can't hear you.
Your nose.
We can't.
He can hear us, but we can't.
Can you do this?
Yeah, just a second.
Figure it out.
That shit is really loud. Hey, Joyce and Jarrett, come in separately into the chat. Like, go through the link
in the studio.
Yeah, we're good now. We're
in the studio.
We're just using the.
Everything's good now.
Yeah, but we're not broadcasting the video. We're just using the sound on speaker right now, because whenever I broadcast video, it just goes fucking goofy. So if you want, we could just finish out on speaker tonight. It shouldn't have any issues like this because we're basically backstage. We're not, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, are you recording any video?
Okay.
At all?
I mean, I can.
We should.
All right. Let me try. Let me try recording and make sure nothing don't happen.
Okay.
Alright, we are
It says recording started.
Yep. Alright, so we're back.
Everything good?
Yep.
Nah, we're back.
Jesus Christ.
I ended up, I don't know how much of what you heard of what I ended up on. It was about the seasons and how shit kind of shifted with the astrological symbols and shit this year. But same shit, same seasons. Everybody's going through them. And if you can't either realize the seasons and prepare for them or do something to rectify why that season is coming about, then don't bitch when that season smacks you in the fucking face. I've had the situations where I try to rectify my seasons and pretty much it went south, and well, hence I'm single. But I mean, I saw the season coming and I got tired of dealing with the season, and I'm sure she did too. I can't put that shit all on her. But, you know, I gave Ricky as an example on how, you know, every year, same time of year, you know, him and his old lady get into it. It's over the same shit. And then, you know, all of a sudden it goes from, you know, he's not living there anymore to they're having a baby. You know, they got 3 babies now. I mean, what the fuck?
We've talked about the seasons quite a bit before, buddy. Yeah, Joyce doesn't like the theory of the seasons, but it's true.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a whacked out fucking
oh no, it's true.
Concept, and
y'all got your own seasons.
It's true like a motherfucker.
Nobody's denying that.
Nobody said we didn't. No,
right.
We're saying
No
seasons.
one's ever
People
said
got
that.
their seasons. I mean, you have something to add to it? You know, you don't think? What do you think I'm wrong in my theory there, Joy?
What exactly is your theory?
Shit.
Everybody got seasons.
No, I think everybody
You know,
has
and
seasons.
every year it's the same thing over and over and over again. And if you can't see that in your relationship, and either prepare for it, deal with it, or rectify the reason why that season exists, then don't be pissed when it smacks you in the face.
It's because you make the same decision, so you get the same results.
It's a season. I've had it more, you know, I've seen it more in women because, you know, I'm the man of the group. But,
are you really?
You know, a lot of men do it too. A lot of men do it too.
I think he missed what you said.
You'll have that.
Douche.
Hey man, whatever kink you're into, it might not be my thing, but if you know, you want to be the little girl, you can be the little girl. It's 2020. We should all be proud of our kinks by this point.
Fuck 2020.
It's all about self-love. It's
Well, how come when I self-love myself at Walmart, I get hollered at for it?
We're in the middle of the candle out.
Yeah.
That was gonna come out as
So
Barbie out. and then I got
what are your
weird.
thoughts on the seasons?
What are you talking about?
It's some true shit.
Have you experienced your seasons this year?
Go ahead, I won't hit you yet.
You know, I will say this, that it seems that while the seasonal thing is still in play for both of us, it has been a lot more mild this year. Which is surprising to me.
That's what I was talking about. I was surprised on it too, and I thought maybe this year was different. It has to do with the whole astrological shit. Watch out.
But I thought, but you know what I think another thing of it too, brother, is now being cognizant of it. That it's something.
Well, that's another thing I said. If you're finally, you realize it, and it's either you prepare for it or
you can not only prepare for, but you can take steps to, like my shit that I have to own that falls in what the topic we're talking about. If I'm cognizant of it and I can see the warning signs, I can be proactive and start doing things about it before it's so far gone that I'm controlled by it. And I think that's something that luckily, through the last episode, that both Joyce and I are more cognizant of ourselves and our own, the astrological thing. But I personally, and this is just my personal belief. I don't have any, I hesitate to say scientific data to back it up because like astrology and shit isn't exactly scientific. But you catch my drift here. What I mean by that is, to me, a lot of that is also tied to mental health, and I think I'm still exploring exactly how I think all that melds together and works together. But I think there is a connection, and so I think by being cognizant of the fact that it happens and being on the lookout for the early warning signs, you're able to make changes, and you're able to go, whoa, hold the phone. I gotta pump the brakes here. I'm about to repeat a
Stop it.
I'm about to repeat a mistake. I don't need to fucking repeat.
When you see,
exactly. Communication. You gotta have communication to even stop any kind of the cycle.
A lot of it too is recognizing your own triggers. Like for you're a part of this for the season.
Yes.
Recognizing those triggers and forever, Jared and I, have you ever been whitewater rafting?
You're right.
No,
Jared and I were whitewater rafting. What?
So,
when did I miss
one of the things. Okay, I only went once, and they have classes in the rivers. Class 1 is the easiest river. Class 5, I don't know if there's a higher than Class 5.
Class 5's it.
Class 5's a fucked up, rapid, full shit. Okay, so I
was very experienced, and so was my dad at the time. That's who we were going with.
Okay, well, I had never gone whitewater rafting.
We took our spouses, and neither of them they all had 0.
On a Class
you didn't leave her in the
5
water, did you?
rapid fucking river. Okay, so inevitably, I was in the water by the end of the trip, grabbing for the damn tow line to be pulled up, okay? But I say all that because I now equate when I can recognize a trigger and I see the rapids ahead, you paddle to the shore. You get your fucking ass to the shore, and you don't keep flying down this damn river.
Get out the fucking
You don't
water.
keep flying down the river. You paddle
seriously.
to the shore. You take a minute. You pause.
Don't start poking at the fucking shark in the goddamn pool.
Right.
I had to don't have sharks in whitewater rafting.
You chum it.
Because whitewater rafting's in rivers. But anyways, I had an anger management counselor.
Oh, I've seen plenty of sharks in my pond.
I had an anger management counselor related to me that way. She knew through talking to me that I like whitewater rafting, so she related it to me that way. As far as anger goes, Joyce took it and applied that same concept and principle, to other things. But she'd say, when you're whitewater rafting and you're going down the river and you see those rapids ahead that you're not going to be able to navigate successfully or potentially, could cause some harm or injury, what do? You paddle directly to the shore. If you're going this way and you see those rapids, you immediately paddle the entire raft to the shore. The crew gets out of the boat, everybody picks it up, walks it around the rapids, and re-enters the water when it's calm again. Our emotions are the same way.
There's some of us that see them rapids and we know we can't navigate it, and they're like, fuck it, this is gonna be fun.
Woo! Buckle up, bitches!
Right, but we all know that we all have that problem.
And then the cycle
what we're talking about is
again.
Right?
What we're talking about is maturing and seeing those warning signs and hitting the shore. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, we're nostalgic creatures by nature, and we love to glorify the old days. You know, we'll tell a party story 20 years later about how fucked up something was, and we'll tell it laughing, proud about it. What we've done is we forgot the pain. We forgot what happened when we got home, or when we woke up in that jail cell, or we don't talk about the fucking case we caught.
I remember all the ass whoopings on the jail cell.
You don't forget about it.
Point. No, you're missing my point. You do. You romanticize something to a point where you fall in love with the idea, and you downplay the negative of your actual experience. You know what I mean? Like, you forget, maybe not all of it, but that, you know, when you're in the moment of telling that story again, you just leave all that out, and after a certain time, when that's not part of your story anymore, you forget that. And then we sit around at 40-something and wish we partied like we did when we were 20, when, man, all of us in this room survived our 20s. Pride aside, none of us thrived in our 20s the way we could have, to our potential.
No.
Because we kept setting ourselves back.
Not at all.
You know, one of my favorite motivational speakers and sales trainers and success trainers and life coach, whatever you want to call him, he's got a meme that he's had out for years, but it just said, when I quit getting wasted on the weekends, I quit wasting my weekends. And I was in a live seminar where that guy told me that back in face to face. He told me that back in 2005, and I never really.
I kind of like the meme better that says, you know, I was a dad in my fucking teens, so don't fuck with me while I'm wilding out in my 40s.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, that's the reverse. It's the reverse of, you know, it wasn't until my 40s that the advice that Grant Cardone gave me in person, actually, that I took ownership of it for myself. You know? But when we see those warning signs, we got to paddle to the shore instead of going, yeah, I remember how fun it was to party like that, and go do it again. Or I remember chasing this feeling, whether it was dope, Marco.
Pussy, dope, and money.
Pussy, dope, and money. It's one of those three every single time. Whether you're 18, 20, 25, 35, 45, the things that fuck you up and get you off track is when you chase pussy, dope, or money in an unhealthy fashion. I'm not saying you can't have, I'm not setting a limit to how much money you can earn, but it's when you make just making money your focus. Or when you make just trying to get pussy your focus. Or, you know what, recreational partying's fine. When I say dope, dope means anything, whatever your vice is, from smoking weed to hardcore drugs, everything in between. It's the general dope, not, you know, when you make that your focus. You know, those are the things that when you make them your focus, when you make them the love of your life, that's fucking hilarious. When you make them the love of your life gets off track, it gets off center, and you fuck everything up.
Also, I wanted to say, you know, one of the reasons that this year has gone more smooth for me as far as the seasons go, they haven't been as fucked up. They haven't been like Ohio weather. They've been more, you know, temperate climate. Is that
been a little more like that.
I have stopped for the most part self-medicating all of the shit in my head, and have been on a steady regimen of the same prescribed medicine, and I'm more level.
That is correctly administered and
right.
You were correctly
I'm
diagnosed.
More level.
I mean, it was all.
But you know,
mental health plays a big part in all that.
Huge. Mental health is huge in all of that.
You know, Greg, it's like we talked about the other day with Jay. You know, at the end of the day, it's not an excuse. You do still know right from wrong, but your decision making starts to become impacted when, yes, you have a condition, and then for years you handle things a certain way and you incur trauma. Self-incurred. You did it yourself. It doesn't matter, though. That doesn't take away the effect of the trauma.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you did it to yourself or somebody else did it to you. The emotional effect of the trauma is still the same. The way it affects the brain is still the same.
Right.
So you traumatize yourself, and then so you develop this whole new way of seeing things and this whole new way of filtering information through your brain. And it's not until you take those steps. It's not until that you actually get the help necessary that you can start making better decisions legitimately, because you see things a different way. Your perception has been changed.
Well, I see that going along the lines on a lot of people's seasons, because there's mental health is a big issue these days. Well, it always has been, but just being brought to light.
It's just becoming okay to talk about.
There's a lot of times that these seasons happen whether there's a mental health issue or not. I mean, sometimes there's just
no. I'm saying you're absolutely right, because I'm agreeing with you. I'm not saying that it's just mental health. We did kind of go on a little side road, on this conversation, but they are tied together. If you have a neurotypical brain and you don't have any of these issues, this seasonal cycle, this thing that we're talking about, I personally do believe that it's still, that's a thing, a naturally occurring thing that affects everyone.
But a healthy functioning person is not going to intentionally sabotage their life, sabotage their loved ones.
Correct.
And fuck with people.
Correct. But that's what I'm saying. When
right.
you have the other side of it.
That's not a healthy thing.
Some people are just assholes.
But then that's not a healthy thing.
Yeah, but being an asshole isn't self-destructing your life. We're talking about people who, have 10 years clean and they can't even tell you why. No fucking reason why. They go back out, cop a bag, and then they're dead. Like, they couldn't tell you why they relapsed. You hear relapse stories, your mom died, some shit was going on. There's seasonal things, those astrological things.
Or even the person, I'm not even talking about that.
That was an extreme.
I know, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the person who has a really good paying job, who goes to work every day, who by all society's standards
great
are,
credit score,
functioning
nice house,
well.
Suburbia.
But they are, constantly drawing people into their lives and then destroying them. And then then they don't want to be lonely, or then they don't want to be by themselves, or they realize, oh, I fucked this up. So again, they draw them back into their life, and then they screw with them again. Those things don't happen unless there's some sort of trauma or fucked up. There's some sort of shit that causes that person to self-sabotage. I honestly can't see it from any other way, and that's my perspective, but that a healthy person will intentionally destroy things habitually. There is some shit there that makes it happen. And this is where I'm going to draw from not Grant Cardone, but Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. When the pain to stay the same is greater than the pain to change, that's when change happens. And that's everybody, and that's seasons. When somebody gets tired of playing the season game, and they're finally at the point where the pain of staying in the same way, it's amazing what people as humans get used to. We get so used to drama and bullshit that if there is no drama and bullshit, we almost kirk the fuck out.
That's because of the trauma
we gotta have some sort of anxiety going on in our life. And if it's not there, we create it.
Right, because that's what you've built as your normal.
That's what feels normal.
That's what you've accepted as your normal, and that is due to the trauma. Usually the trauma is due to the mental health issue. The decisions are usually due to the trauma, especially when it's been an extended period of time. When you're talking to an adult, it's not necessarily the mental health issue that's causing the behavior. It's the trauma and the way that they cope that they've incurred because of the mental health issue. There are so many people, it's only, it sounds like, ooh, it's a big, buzz topic, way to get away with everything. But trauma isn't. It's only been recently that it's okay to talk about this shit. And plus, as explosive as social media is, even when it was just first starting to be okay to do mental health shit back in the 90s, we didn't have social media, so it wasn't constantly in our face. It was touched on here and there. And I know it sounds like it's so like just a fucking excuse. And I ain't gonna lie, you know how everybody is. There's always somebody who's gonna fucking abuse the system. So yeah, there's certain people out there probably that are just fucking whatever and aren't bipolar or depressed or whatever.
No,
They're
they need
not,
attention.
But whatever they
They're
claim
codependent,
it.
need
but that
attention.
doesn't take away from the legit people who are, just because we hear about it more.
Right.
Just because we diagnose it more. Just because we understand it better now. There are so many people on the face of this earth walking around completely clouded by their past trauma. And I will absolutely still admit that a lot of those people absolutely did it to them fucking selves. We created our own trauma.
Yeah, no doubt.
But again, that doesn't change the emotional effects of it, and it doesn't change the physiological effects that it has on the brain itself. It changes brain chemistry, it changes brain function. CAT scans have shown this time and time again.
You want to talk about serotonin levels, all of those things, dopamine receptors, all of those things. We learn as people how to make our own high, even if a drug isn't available.
We
do it with adrenaline.
Right.
We do it with adrenaline. We do it with...
App creators are the best at it. That's why your phone has notifications.
Those bad fucking decisions we make, they make us feel good until we got the repercussions of them. That's why we still fucking do them.
But I have noticed that
up again, huh?
even personally, you know, and
Hold
I've been...
Hold on.
What'd you say, Margo?
Chopping up.
Oh, okay.
So I toned it down a little bit. I thought I might have been
chopping
peaking.
up a little bit.
I thought maybe I was peaking on the mic.
Yeah, I started yelling like Jared.
You know, even personally in my life, you know, I'm bipolar. I have endured not only self-inflicted trauma, but I have, you know, endured other inflicted trauma and all kinds of typical PTSD shit. I have noticed that in those seasons you're talking about, there's things I struggle with more in those certain seasons.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, that's all I'm talking about. And a lot of people, my biggest issue is if you don't, obviously, you know, you and Joyce communicate, and you have gotten a lot of through a lot of shit. But a lot of people out there who go through these seasons and they might not notice it themselves, and somebody brings it to their attention, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to communicate about it, and that's in the end, you know, destroys everything. But you know, as far as you were talking about, as far as the trauma and everything, I'm glad that this all kind of segued into it, because it'll go back to the beginning thing with the shit with Oregon.
Oh, we go to
he said it right.
You know, and the drugs and shit. Now, do you think that the trauma that is, whether it be self-inflicted or you know, inflicted on somebody else, is going to be like, you know, it's all going to fucking congregate towards, you know, Oregon?
Well,
I'm trying,
and that's what you and I have talked about this, and I agree with you in this particular instance. I don't agree as if it were done nationwide. I do not believe it would have the same effect. Okay?
No, because it wouldn't be like they would have a place to go. It would just be like everywhere is the place to go. So if there's no place to go.
Look, Oregon becomes the USS Enterprise from New Jack City. Remember, that's what they named their fucking complex. Because you can buy it there, you can use it there. Oregon is going to become that housing project in the United States.
Oregon is going to become Oregon's going to become Oregon, the Carter.
Right, like it is. It will, and that's because you can't do it in that small of an instance. Every once in a while, a dope dealer
come and bring you a turkey,
because you're surrounded by, you know, other factors that are going to push people into that. I mean, I don't think you're going to have people relocating from fucking Boston.
You don't need a fucking prison guard when you got your dealer on the court.
Right.
You know, like you don't need bars on the fucking walls
now
if you're not going anywhere because your high is right there.
Unfortunately, what I do think is going to happen is in the not too distant future, it is going to statistically hurt the chance of national decriminalization almost ever, because you're going to have a spike in overdoses. You're going to have a spike in related types of crime.
People ain't gonna know how to handle themselves at first.
Oh, hell
it's
yeah.
It's gonna take a few generations to fucking be like, hey, quit fucking doing that.
You know what?
Right.
Just in my short time of working as a bartender, I can see that. And because I saw the amount and what was going on with it now being illegal. Had it been legal, I was like, shit, there would have been a huge increase of accidental deaths very early on, because people go crazy with it. Like, wow, I can now do this. And I can see your point in that. Just in my experience in seeing so many people with their drug use.
And then just the way like I said in the beginning, the whole, a big hot button for California this year, in the past few years, was how shitty the California was. The streets are covered with homeless people. The streets are covered with needles. The streets are covered with shit. Now, how do you think they're going to clean that place up?
We're going to send them to Oregon. But
how do you think they're going to...
But here's the thing.
The same way Youngstown, even Annapolis back in the day, the same way they've cleaned up any of their neighborhoods. They drive the element out.
Suburbs.
You drive the element out.
Those neighborhoods that are one way in, one way out.
When the South Side gets completely fucked up, what do?
Yep.
Huge police presence, zero tolerance. They crack the fuck down on everything. You have these massive drug busts that just obliterate the pipeline, and then so you will have dry spells for months. And in the very beginning, people get really shitty, and there's a whole bunch of extra shootings and stuff. But then, because the element isn't coming to that side, the business isn't there anymore, the shit's not there anymore, it starts going away.
Migrates.
And then they start
right.
They bring programs where they want to pump money in and revitalize it, and they start making it a little nicer. And then once that money kind of dries up, and when it's not so bad, it's like an argument with your kids sometimes. You never go back and revisit it when everybody's calmed down, everybody's being nice to each other in the living room, because you forget about it. The quiet one always gets to stay up, doesn't get sent to bed.
Yep.
You know what I mean? When your kids are in the living room, if they're quiet, you'll forget they're there. It'll be fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. You'll still be watching Rick and Morty with them, and you're like, fuck, you're still awake? But if they're talking the entire time, man, within 15 minutes of bedtime, you're hollering at them ready to whoop their ass, and they're in bed. That's what happens. That's how you get rid of them. And then once they're not making any noise anymore, people quit doing it. It all filters back. It'll reach an equilibrium.
I believe that
water seeks its own level. There will always be a natural balance. The only time there's not is when man manipulates.
California is going to use Oregon as a fucking trash can, dude.
Here's
the whole United States is.
Wait, I have a question. But
let's bust you
I don't totally know anything about California and Oregon with their homeless population. However, I visited Seattle when I went and visited a college with my daughter. Okay? Now, the road going into all the highways going into Seattle, there were homeless camps. Literally, the entire side of the road was just...
It's like Tent City.
Tent City, exactly. It was tents and tarps and trash. And all through down Seattle, like downtown Seattle, there's... store owners have these big, like, ramps so that the homeless people couldn't sleep in their doorways at night. Because what it was explained to me was the homeless population there are invited and welcomed by the government so they don't get chased out, so they can just litter that area. Now, it's a beautiful city, but that problem in and of itself makes it an eye-opener and very ugly to visit and see. So if California had these problems with the homeless people, why didn't they already send them to Seattle? I mean, it's not that much further away.
No. Seattle's. I mean, the parts of California he's talking about. The parts of California he's talking about are just like Seattle. They're invited there because the federal money and blah,
that's
blah, blah.
what I didn't know.
It's now that now that it's getting out of hand and whatnot. But once now Oregon has done this, they now have a way of going, all right, we can get rid of some of this bullshit. We can get rid of the worst ones. At least we can get rid of the worst ones. And shuffle them off on them. They don't mind homeless.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
And they don't mind addicts that they can keep in the system.
Well, the ones you can't,
You know,
they're going to
they just got to keep their own little quota of them. You
Right.
Know, they got
to keep their federal
your
funding.
quota of right.
And this perpetuates.
At this point, California is overrun with the shit, and I'm a firm believer that they're going to start pushing these people.
Only
up to
certain
Oregon.
cities, dude, because I'm going to tell you, it's like every other state. You've got certain, or liberal state. You've got certain cities that really, you know, it's a good percentage of their population. But I bet you, I haven't done any research on this, and this is just a guess. It's a hunch. It's a gut feeling. Gibbs taught me to always trust those. My gut tells me that if you look at the major liberal cities, regardless of, you know, state size, whatever, that per capita and percentage-wise, maybe not raw numbers, because again, we could be dealing with a city of, you know, 3 million or a city of 1 million. But if you look at it as a percentage, I bet you the people we're talking about, homeless, on the system, in the system, so they can generate that money, is percentage-wise equal to the population of that city. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm just bullshit number just to make it easy, but if it's 10% in Los Angeles, it's 10% in Houston. It's 10% in Seattle. It's 10, you know what I mean? I bet those percentages are close to the same.
There's
Just
a cap everywhere.
and that is just a gut feeling and something I'm gonna have to look up. But that's just
that's like people on welfare. You know, you can have welfare, but there's a cap on it. No matter what the fuck you do, you can do whatever as long as you don't hit that cap, and then they start looking into you.
Right.
That's how people work the system.
Oh, and we both know because of one of your children and where Joyce used to work, how people's names have to get put on the books, whether they were there that day or not. They're signed in as they're there by somebody, so that they can build a county, so they can build a county to get the money from the county. Then the county bills the state and makes their money, and then the state bills the feds and they get their money. And
then big circle.
Right. That's even if people were not there. You know what I mean? So
yep.
The numbers are always fucked with to keep it to where the money keeps flowing. Which is why we need to start spending money in other directions so that we can start to eliminate those systems. And we start by trimming down to a manageable level.
Here's another issue. Here's another issue on the whole drug thing. Now we got decriminalization, legal, whatever the fuck in Oregon, and we may or may not have this influx of more homeless and addicts coming in from other states, but you don't think, like, a lot of people are saying that this is going to cut down on medical shit. I'm thinking this is gonna fucking make medical fucking bills skyrocket. And they're talking about giving away free health care. How the fuck is America gonna afford free health care when one state is gonna outrun damn near the United States? I mean,
No, I disagree.
But you know, that first couple of generations are going to be nothing but fucking ODs.
Listen.
You know, the fucking ODs that are just going to happen just because people are stupid.
I think you're going to see some of that. But just like in states that have legalized marijuana use is actually down. I think what you're going to see is...
That's what I said. You know, if it was legalized,
I don't think you're going to see people go stupid. I think you're not going to see people go stupid. What you're going to see is
see it now.
No, Marco, you're going to see seasoned addicts relocate there. They're not going to have the money to go stupid. And they've been doing this game for a long time. The reason they haven't OD'd now is because they can't ever put together enough money to fucking do it in one shot. They're you know what I mean? They're nickel and dime back at the trap house. They can't, like, they're not going to change consumption because they go there. I mean, maybe a little, but they're still going to have the problem of, I've got to find a way to buy it. That's still always going to be the problem. Just because it's decriminalized doesn't mean they're fucking handing it out. So they're not really going to be able to consume
but
anymore.
You don't think it's going to be cheaper?
And you are not going to get a kid in high school who is not... There are no kids in high school that are not doing heroin just because it's fucking illegal. Kids in high school do what the fuck they want, whether it's legal or illegal.
True.
They're not... Whether it's legal or not, it's not stopping them from fucking doing heroin. You know it's on the rise everywhere, nationwide, in teens? And I'm not arguing whether it's a big deal or not, but it proves the point. Vaping. They've toughened vaping laws, and it's still on the rise. Still on the rise.
Now
I'm not equating vaping to fucking doing heroin.
Crossed my mind
but
with it.
I'm equating
what's a big thing that
system.
comes in with the drug trade?
I'm sorry, I was talking.
Especially like, here's another thing that goes along the lines of the drugs and everything, especially along that route. We have a big issue here in America with human trafficking. Now, how much we already got human trafficking for drugs as it is.
There's no
and
fucking
prostitution for
there's
drugs
no
as it
fucking
is.
reason that sex work should be illegal. There's no fucking reason. It is 100% strictly.
For a kid, it should be.
Yeah.
No, that's not, dude. That's not. Get that off the fucking table.
People
That's never
women.
fucking allowed. When we're discussing legal sex work, we are never talking about a child. We are always talking about fucking consenting adults. When we're talking legal sex work. I don't give a fuck
You're
what's
breaking up,
legal
Derek.
and not legal. We are never, ever, ever discussing or making a case for kids when we're talking legal sex work.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not
So
talking
what
about
I'm
legal.
saying
I'm
is,
talking about
if sex
human
work,
trafficking.
right? And human trafficking would be cut. A huge majority of fucking human trafficking would be cut just by the legalization of prostitution. Not all human trafficking is kids, bro.
going to be legalized there, but there's going to be an uptick in prostitution.
Which is why I'm saying prostitution needs to be legal. Sex work should not be illegal. It shouldn't be, period. If two consenting adults decide, if adult A says, I'm willing to suck dick for $20, and adult B is willing to say, I'm willing to pay $20 to get my dick sucked.
That's really all marriages, anyways.
Right, I gotta cook 3 meals a day, but I get my dick sucked.
There you go.
I'm paying for it.
That's what I tell a lot of people. You know, they act like they ain't never
That's one of the
paid for
benefits of
pussy
being a
before.
stay-at-home
Like,
dad.
you
You
ain't
get to
never
pay
went
and
to a
trade.
bar and bought some drinks. You never bought a girl dinner before,
Right?
You never,
I've
you
said
never
the
bought
same
some,
thing all the
you know,
time.
movie tickets or concert tickets.
Especially when people are like when the topic comes up, like, oh my God, it's just dirty. I could never, I couldn't go pay a chick $20 to suck my dick. No, but you pump $60 worth of drinks into the girl who I have seen in this same bar with three different fucking guys that night. 3 different guys, same night, same trick. And you pump 60 more bucks of drinks in her and probably anywhere between $20 and $60 worth of blow. And you're getting a blowjob out in the parking lot. It's the same thing. She just sucked 3 dicks before she sucked yours, at least. It's the same thing.
What, over 100, like
It's
almost
cheaper
$200.
and it's more honest to just get a fucking hooker. If that's your game.
In a lot of the states or countries that they do have legal prostitution, they have mandatory testings and all that shit.
Right. It's safer. The other thing, dude.
Oh, it's not coming up.
Move, Jerry, you're in his nostril.
What? Why are you in my bunny?
I picked a bunch of pictures off of your Facebook.
Look, Mark got picking your nose.
So I could
That's copyright infringement.
You told me to do it. It's building the What the Fuck Wednesday Insta page. I just told Greg to put that one up behind us, though.
Yeah,
Fuck Marco's face.
I picked his nose.
But
every time Jared lifts his armpit, it's right over my nostrils, making me smell his fucking nostrils.
You like my musk.
Oh my god. I liked it better when you didn't say that out loud.
The musk. Yeah, I do think you will see an increase in prostitution. You're going to see an increase in break-ins. You're going to see an increase in theft. You're going to, because you're bringing more of that to the area. But that's not a case for if you decriminalize nationwide. What you will also see, according to their law, is we'll start seeing, because we won't be seeing people put in jail. Basically, what's going to be said is, you're not going to jail. You're going to treatment.
Yep.
It costs less. Whether they only go to treatment so they don't go to jail, they get back out and they start using again. Eventually, when someone reaches their bottom, all those times of treatment or that next time you send them to treatment, it clicks. No, nobody's going to stop just because you send them to treatment. They got to want to stop. But even if they're one of those...
That goes back to what I was saying.
Even if they're one of those
now
people...
you go from the regular dope to the government dope.
Even if they're one of those people that's going to go back out and get high after treatment, okay? It still costs less to send them to treatment than it does to pay for them to be in jail. So, doesn't it make sense that we at least shoot the dice and try treatment instead of jail? It costs less. It still gets them off the street for the same amount of time, and at least gives them a chance.
Yeah, but pretty much they're
that's what they're
switching
doing.
over from street dope to government dope.
No, I'm not. Not all treatment is methadone and Suboxone, bro. Not all treatment is that. You don't treat fucking amphetamine and methamphetamine addicts with that shit. That's for opiates. They don't have a substitute for crackheads. You go to fucking rehab and you don't use anymore. Like, they don't have a...
Poor crackheads.
You know what I mean? Same thing for alcoholics. So, I mean, we're talking...
Yeah, but...
we're talking... People are going to be...
I'm talking in that cycle of things, the worst case scenario there.
You can't admit I'm right.
It's going to be, our hardest shit. And, whereas we're talking, heroin, we're talking about meth. Now, I don't know if there's something, like you're right. The meth is an amphetamine. So that they don't have nothing for that. So those people are kind of fucked, and they're pretty much going to go into detox until they get out of whatever system, if they're even going to keep them in a treatment. It might just be one of those, you walk into a place, like around here. Treatment for the heroin addicts is you go to the fucking the little block
they detox
house.
you.
You wait outside for a fucking hour or two. You get your little fucking, I don't even know what they give them, and they come back the next day.
There are people that are
now,
on
if
that.
It was a real deal treat.
There are people that are on that.
If there's treatment like you say, then yeah, that would be,
but,
at least a try.
But also, when those programs are administered properly, it's like being on the patch.
That's the key word, properly.
Well, again, we're talking about we're talking about that change. We're talking about this is what needs to happen. Not like we've covered what's going to happen. The whole point, the whole thing of what they're, the whole thing of what Oregon is doing is they're basically mimicking what Portugal did. Portugal didn't make everything legal like a lot of people like to think. They decriminalized it. You can still get caught, but they don't incarcerate you. They send you to treatment. And when they send you to treatment, through that system. You are not just left to still live at home and do your own thing, but go to the methadone clinic every morning. No, you're put in fucking treatment. So in realistic terms, you're off the streets for the same amount of fucking time as if you got locked up. It costs less to try rehab than it does to try, than it put them in rehab than it does to put them in jail. And you at least get a few that stop. And the ones that don't, of those, yes, some are never going to make it back, but some the seed is planted, and maybe the next time or the time after that. But they keep putting them through treatment instead of jail because it's still cheaper. It's still, to society, it still has the same effect that fuckers off the streets for a while. But they're constantly giving them the opportunity to make the better decision.
I got a question with your logic there.
Go ahead.
If it's that way, then pretty much, I just don't understand how being incarcerated. Now, I'm not for the incarceration at all, but I'm just looking at the logistics of this. To keep somebody in prison, you got the bare minimum of health care, you got the bare minimum of clothes, you got the bare minimum of food, and everything else like that. Just recently, they're giving them internet and shit.
Prisons cost more to run.
While you're in treatment centers, at least for the few people that I know of that were in treatment centers, they have, better food, your better clothing, better whatever, and you're medicated at sometimes. Now, even if it is cheaper for us to have these rehab places where they go, where it's just pretty much a nicer prison, what we need in abundance more of these facilities to take care of people.
Sure.
Whereas they're just turning, you're just making a prison nicer.
No, kind of. I mean, when you want to boil it down like that, but it's not just doing that, because what goes on day to day is different. It's not that simple. When you break down your logic, when you break, hey, do I get to rebut your statement, or do I? When you break down,
you got your armpit in my nose.
When you break down your logic like that, that is the simplest of the simplest comparison. And yes, at that comparison, it is true. But you throw out all of the soft skills, as they would say in the employment sector. When they teach someone, when you go to school to learn how to be a service advisor, they teach you how to fill out the paperwork and they teach you what questions to ask. But forever, they didn't teach you any of the soft skills, like actual customer service, like, how to actually take care of customers. They didn't teach you personality. They didn't teach you.
Fuck off, Karen.
Right.
So the soft skills. Why instead of adding more facilities instead of just adding?
Okay, let me finish. You got Marco. You got to let me finish
Get to it.
You got to let me finish part A of the question, and then I'll address part B.
Get to the motherfucker.
You won't quit interrupting. You miss all the soft skills. It's not just that simple, because their options are different. Their input is different. Their what's the right word? What they're exposed to every day is different. And that's what makes the mental difference. Black and white on paper is one thing, but when you're dealing with a physiological being that has emotions and traumas and all the things we've already talked about, you can't forget the difference in programs and skills they're taught. Plus, what emotionally it does, it being a rehab instead of being a prison. Now, to address the second part of your question, yes, we are going to need more facilities. But you know what that opens the door for?
I thought this motherfucker was clapping.
Okay.
Anybody who has the right credentials and has gone through the proper training and whatever can open these facilities. You can't just turn around and open a fucking prison. We can't all go get our certificates and degrees or whatever. All of us as a group decide we're going to open a fucking rehab, and each one of us goes and gets whatever. Like, you need whatever, however many different.
I'm looking at government
You know,
programs.
we could then go. We could go
sector.
get licensed and get the things we need, and the one of us can get a doctorate. One of us could get a nursing degree. One of us could get an addictions degree, and then we could put the money together, and then we could go open a rehab. You can't just get a group of friends together and go open a fucking prison. So it opens up free market.
I'm talking about the government
so see,
sector
wait
itself.
a second. So now we're talking about solving like a whole shitload of problems by doing it this way. You actually start to break the government cycle whole and open it up for actual.
How?
Because if you're like I just said, if we're putting him in treatment, the group that's sitting in this basement right now, plus you, could go get the credentials we needed, put the money together, and go open a fucking treatment center if we wanted to. We can't just go open a prison. So now there's a business opportunity. So people that want to pursue that, they can pursue that as a business. So now, not only are we helping people who need to be treated instead of incarcerated. Now we've got more small business owners. Now we got more community business owners.
You're trying to mix in the private sector with the government problem.
The private sector, Marco, we just talked about it. We just talked about it.
I want to see if I'm wrong.
You are wrong.
I want to see if I'm wrong. Wait a minute.
You are wrong.
Now, you're saying
you already said enough to be wrong.
Get arrested. Just listen, goddammit.
Yeah.
You want me to hit him?
Get arrested.
Not unless it's with the ping pong paddle, Mama.
Instead of going to prison, you go to one of these facilities.
Right.
That is not. They're not going to send you to a private facility.
Yeah, they will.
Because this isn't a private problem. You're going to have to go to a government-ran facility, just like a pretty much nicer prison. You know, you might have different amenities. You might have different treatments, which we could just do in our prisons alone. But either way, my whole thing is, if one, they're not going to privatize it. At least they're not going to do the majority of privatization. They might let a few people in, but they're going to be building more. And I'm not saying it's just going to happen now. This isn't just a 1-year trial. This ain't like fucking AOL. This shit is going to fucking run. So within 10, 20 years, you know, there might be maybe 5, 10 privatized fucking, facilities, but there'll be 50 government ones. And, the government is not sending you to a private facility unless they got some kind of government funding.
Marco, they already don't send people, the majority of people, to government facilities. Even a lot of your prisons are run by major corporations, not the government. And like we just talked about how people were getting signed in where your son used to go and where Joyce used to work, even though they weren't there.
Yeah.
That's a private. That's a private. No, it said you're not there anymore.
Okay.
That's a private facility, correct? Not a government facility, correct? The government is all
right, but that's paid for.
Correct. The government's still going to pay for it, but it's going to be a private facility. We can go open the facility and we will get a check from the government, not from the patient.
Maybe not in your
right, if you go through a certain program.
And
but there's a lot of these private facilities. Like,
I just said that's what the law is.
A government-ran old folks home and a private old folks home. You go to a private old folks home, and it might be G'd out like a fucking mansion, but the government ain't paying for that. Yeah. And if they are, they got them little waiver things that only pay a little chunk of it.
Right.
Correct.
Now, they'll send you to a government-ran one.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. Marco, I'm dead in the middle of this. I am dead in the middle of this shit, and I'm telling you. When they start running out of money for the nicer places, they still go to shittier places that are still privately run, but the government still pays for it.
Well, then they have some kind of government funding on it.
Correct.
I'm talking about the ones, the nicer ones, the good. You're gonna tell me the good treatment was like, because they have rehab places that you pay for, you go into,
yes,
and it's like going to a goddamn country club, or you could go to a place up here on Market Street that looks like you're going to the fucking Mosey Wozy, and somebody might be dealing you drugs in the backyard.
Marco, I'm not debating that. The debate is whether it is a government-owned facility or a privately owned facility, and regardless of how nice or shitty it is, it's still a privately owned facility that's just getting paid by the government instead of by the person. Regardless. So all these things you're throwing in here to try and muddy the water doesn't change the fact of who owns the fucking building.
I'm saying there might be some private facilities, but there'll be a lot more government ones.
No, there won't be.
And instead of fucking, the government ain't gonna send you to a fucking. I disagree.
Okay, but what you disagree on is decor, not on who owns the fucking thing.
No, that's what he just said, was that he disagreed.
The government's not going to go building a whole lot of more facilities. It is still a lot cheaper for them to pay the.
If it's a lot cheaper, they'll switch the prisons over.
No. They still make more. They make more money. We as the people have to want it that way. Our taxes have to go, like, which we shouldn't be paying anyways, but since we do, we need more control over where they go. The government's not going to change that system over. But the government's not prepared to build those facilities when they can go, wait a second, our profit margin can still be this if we pay these locals to run their facility.
Yeah, but we have that problem too, like in different local shit here now. Like with Camel, you know, a big issue with Camel was their water department. They had their own water department. They had their own water treatment plant. And for years and years and years, they pushed for a private company to come in and take care of their water, which they finally pushed, and Aqua's taking care of it. And now everybody I talk to is fucking like, you know, it was the worst decision in the world.
I don't know. I've worked for.
So,
I've done a lot of work for Aqua Ohio over the years, and I know they take care of their shit. They're actually a really good company.
When I worked for the water department, they did their fair share of shittiness.
Oh, I wondered what that was. I thought it was
that's locally though. That's locally though. You know, as a whole, they might be a good company, but just as the people we
What's so
dealt
shitty
with and
about
all
it?
that shit.
They're a water company.
I guess their service. I guess the service is shitty, and the water. I mean, Cam already had expensive water, but now that shit is like fucking outrageous.
Are they?
Oh my god!
Poor
mom.
Did they do an infrastructure upgrade? Did they put new
They
water
did
main and shit?
You know, Camel did all the fucking upgrades way before Aqua even came in.
Have they done? Has Aqua done any since they've taken over?
Not that I've seen. You know, I go past my cousin's.
I don't know
at the
because
water
that's why I'm
treatment
asking.
plant that's pretty much gotten taken over. But I mean, I don't know how they're running it, but I know there's a lot of people unhappy with the service now. And you know, it was bad enough when we had local water there, but at least you could call down to the kids you knew or something, be like, hey, something's going on with the valve outside, or you know, my water's tasting shitty. There's a water break. You know that. But I guess it ain't like that no more or whatever. Or if it is, you know, they got to go through people, and then they'll send out the local people who used to, you know, it's kind of like a subcontractor thing. But I mean, I know a lot of people aren't happy with the service there, and you know, we got that private prison down on Jacobs, and people aren't happy with having that there. And then they turned it into one of them core fucking places, and they turned the one down here by my house into one of them core places. You know, they come. You know, that got all hush hush after, you know, when the whole election shit came about. You know, that's where they're bringing in the fucking illegals and just letting them chill there until they figure out what they want to do with them. I mean, you know, I don't think that whole privatization, and if it is, you know, they might say it's privatized, but if they're still getting paid by the government controls it.
You know, you're right to an extent on that. That's one of the few things, and see, you know, I talk about when we talk politics and political parties and stuff all the time. You know, I talk about people being like single interest voters, and you know, they're a Democrat because of, you know, pro-choice, but everything else is just a fucking dumpster fire. You know what I mean? Like, this is one of the things that, even though lately I identify as a libertarian, because I actually want to try and work within the system instead
Hey,
of.
I've been looking into it, not to cut you off, but Joe Jurgensen, like I've been looking into a few of her shits. That chick had a pretty decent plan there. I'm not gonna lie. And no lie, she's been fighting for the whole recount too. She fucking says that the election was shimdiggled too.
Right. I think there's enough
the
doubt. I honestly,
mean,
truly think there's enough doubt that anybody that'll look at it rationally can see that, hey, we need to investigate this. We just need to investigate it. Period.
Yeah, if he lost, he lost. If he won, he won.
But we need to investigate it. We need to figure out the truth here. Period. And that's not because I voted for Jorgensen. No recount in the world is going to make her the president. So I don't have a dog in this show. You know what I mean? But as an American, just that there's enough doubt. As an American, I want reassured that I want the system fixed. You know what I mean? It needs to happen.
Yeah.
And whoever wins. I don't give a fuck.
That's the big argument I have with the other guys. They think, oh no, you're just a Trump supporter. You want Trump to win this and that.
I'm going to tell you right now.
No, I want it to be right.
I'm going to tell you right.
What if in fucking 8 years, whoever's running, and I mean this shit happens again? What the fuck? We might as well be one of these third world countries.
If to me, and I know you would agree, even if Trump won, and it was the Democrats saying the exact same things that the Republicans are saying right now, I would still want a full-on investigation.
Look it up. Fucking right.
Look into do it.
Hey, if he did it,
this is one of our most.
You ain't supposed to be president. I support you, but what the fuck?
This process is one of our most sacred institutions. And if we cannot have the utmost scrutiny in that institution, then the entire system is fucking bullshit.
Exactly. I mean, it ain't the best system in the world as it is, but it's the best that we got.
No, but you know what? It is, and there's a lot of small improvements, like easy to pull off improvements that could be made. There'd still be a long way to go, but it's all generational.
I agree.
It's all generational. Major surgeries, when people have major problems, they go through 7, 8, 10, 12, 2 dozen surgeries to correct a problem over time. Because the body can't handle that much trauma all at once. The country couldn't handle that much trauma all at once. It needs to be chipped away at. Now, this is one thing what started all that was, this is one of the things that even though I'm a libertarian, I don't necessarily agree with the libertarian platform of privatization of the prison system. They like that idea because they feel that it will hold people more accountable, and maybe if it was said a different way, maybe that could work. But I know a little about how the SAT system works now. Prisoner count's a big thing. Prisons have to maintain, private ones have to maintain a certain occupancy. It's like almost it's like almost a car dealership. You have to hit certain numbers to get the money, and you have to hit other numbers to get the bonus. And so there's.
You don't think that would happen with the fucking privatization of the treatment centers?
I'm not saying it won't, but I would much rather have somebody in rehab for an extra 30 days on a trumped up charge instead of in prison for an extra 2 years because he got caught fighting and caught a charge, but the poor motherfucker was just defending himself. But because they need to ensure population, they'll throw that charge on him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Will there be corruption for the money? Sure. But I would rather the corruption go to that than it go to this.
I guess it's just picking the lesser of the two evils. I understand.
No, it's called strategy. It's a tactical way of thinking. You have to think about the path of least resistance where you will incur the least amount of damage and your efforts can be the most effective while spending the least amount of resources.
I don't know, man, because it's kind of, if you go that route with the facilities, but you're against the same route with the prisons when that's just a dumbed down facility. I mean, for all that, you might as well just keep it all the same, make it one government fucking entity, and instead of being a prison, make it a little bit nicer, and bring in some people who would at least try to rehab these motherfuckers. And I'm not saying for like the criminal, I'm talking about the drug people, like we were talking about.
But then it would still be privately run.
Like just that type of deal.
Even you're talking about just rehabbing, renovating a prison and making it a rehab, but it's still privately run. Okay, fine, go ahead. I don't care what you build the building out of. Yeah. I'm talking about who owns the motherfucker. And I would still rather see the corruption be on the side of keeping someone in rehab a little fucking longer than keeping them in a fucking prison for a little fucking longer. If we're literally just gonna switch statistics, then let's switch conditions and it still stay the same. It's okay to be lesser of two evils when we're talking about people's fucking mental health. Not when we're talking about what controls the country. There's a big difference there.
What I am saying is, and I think this is where we're getting mixed up here. I'm saying that instead of building more facilities, and you're saying that it would be cheaper to, which I don't believe so, but it might be, it'd be cheaper to make rehab facilities, then why make rehab facilities? Fucking just turn the prisons into rehab facilities, because pretty much, I mean, you couldn't do it to all of them because you got other. I'm talking about the drug, the drug offenses.
Because there's other crimes other than just drugs.
You
I have to go to the bathroom.
I'm sure in Oregon there's going to be a lot more other crimes than drugs.
You said it right.
Yeah, but Marco,
as far as the treatment facilities go, then you take all the people for the treatment facilities and put them in the prisons and nicen up the facilities a little bit.
But one, like we just said, like we just said, you can't just get rid of all the prisons because there's more crimes than just drugs.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So you can't just do that. So, right, no, I said, you, full credit, you said that. Full credit, you said that. I was just reiterating. You can't, you're still going to need that. So then, okay, there's so many prisons that you can now rehab, you can now renovate, because we still need some. So then there's this many you can renovate into rehabs. Go right the fuck ahead. But we're still going to need more rehabs than that. So the government is not going to spend the money to build the rehab. They're going to let private people do that. And then they're just going to pay them some money out of the taxes they collect.
It's pretty much subcontracting, but it's still
It is! That's no shit! That's what I've been saying! Thanks for showing up!
It is. It's all government. It's not privately owned. It just might have somebody else's name on it, but at the end of the fucking day, it's government owned.
Okay, Marco. If I'm a armored car guard and I get my paycheck from Brinks, is my money that I get, is that money privately owned? Once I cash my check, is that money private?
In your hand, yeah.
Okay. Is
that money yours? That's yours to spend.
Okay. If I am just an armed guard at the front of the federal courthouse, but my check comes from the federal courthouse, once I cash it, is that money still private?
That money was never private unless it went through a payroll.
No. When I cash that check, just like I cash the check if I work for Brinks, if I cash my paycheck, is that cash in my hand now mine?
Kinda.
It's the same thing. You're just not willing to say yes.
There's a reason. No. You're right up to 99%.
No, that's 100% right. It doesn't matter who signs the fucking
because
check.
It's the fucked up part of America.
It doesn't matter who signs the fuck.
No, listen. It doesn't matter. You're absolutely right. That money,
now shut
if
up.
it was yours, you could not burn. You would be allowed to burn it.
Now shush.
What happens?
Now
What happens
shush.
if you burn or destroy
Now
currency?
shush. Now shush. So it didn't matter if it was Brinks or Uncle Sam that was signing my check. The money is still mine once I cash that check.
Nope, it's mine.
Aside from that.
Oh.
So then it doesn't fucking matter. The ownership. The ownership doesn't change just because the government's paying the bill.
All it is a name. If the government is paying the bills, if you're paying a bill at your house, you're going to say that's not your house?
Arguing with Marco is like climbing a tree because there's a million fucking branches. He can never just go lineal, ever. And he talks himself into retardum.
No, you just...
It doesn't matter who signs the check.
Uh-huh.
The money's still mine personally, right? That's what you just said. And now you're arguing that that's not the case.
What does that have to do with changing over the prisons? What does that have to do with changing over the prisons?
You keep saying that it's that if the government's paying for it, it's not private.
Exactly.
Okay, I buy a house with those two same jobs. I pay that mortgage with the
You
check
still
for
gotta pay
Brinks.
taxes on that land, and if you don't fucking pay them taxes,
That has nothing to
you
do with
paid
the
for is
paycheck,
taken.
Marco. I gotta pay those same taxes whether I work
That's
for.
what the government does.
I gotta pay those same taxes whether I work for Brinks, a private company, or whether I work for the government. I gotta pay those same taxes. That doesn't mean shit in this conversation.
So that money isn't yours.
See what I mean? He just contradicted himself again.
No, I did not.
I still own the
Not at
fucking
all.
house. Whether I paid for it with money I earned working for Brinks or money I earned working for the courthouse. It doesn't matter who signed my paycheck. I own that fucking house no matter which paycheck I paid it with. It's still my privately
All right,
owned
so
house.
If you live in that house,
The courthouse doesn't
and
own it
Joyce
because
pays
they
all them
signed my
bills,
paycheck, but
that's
I own it
Joyce's
because I
house.
worked for Brinks. Doesn't fucking work that way. And I still got to pay the same property tax on it, regardless of who signed my paycheck. So that don't mean shit.
But if you don't pay them taxes, that house is gone, so it's not your house.
It doesn't matter who signed the paycheck, that rule's still the same.
That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
That's exactly what we've been talking about.
No, we were not.
Greg, play it back.
You went
Play
on
it back.
Paycheck. You went in on some fucking paycheck shit.
Play it back.
And you try to make an
can't play it
analogy
back.
that didn't make
Relax.
any goddamn sense.
Motherfucker.
You know,
We're
I'll let
doing
you
another
talk, but
show
you're
in
the
a
one
day
who
or
sounded
two. We're
retarded
gonna
there.
fucking play that back.
Like watching the tape.
Well, while you're
Yeah,
fucking
we're gonna
over
watch-
there
She said here,
bubbling
did you
because
see?
your mic is going the fuck out.
You missed your block, bitch.
Yeah,
We're gonna put this
switch
in
the
slow-mo.
subject for the last half hour.
Thank you.
I just got a
I'm
I don't know if it's a news thing or whatever from some doctor, and it showed the ingredients. Now I feel like this could be like the whole 5G thing when they opened up the antenna and they had some kind of weird writing or whatever. Who knows? I haven't done any research on this just yet. But
You got 5G on your phone and
apparently
shit?
the new vaccine for COVID has 14-week-old Caucasian baby lungs in it.
Get the fuck out of here.
the
Specifically
Vikings sent that to
Caucasian.
me.
Specifically,
I'll send it to you. It's like there's
Like
there's
just
a
white
doctor
in
that
general
fucking
or
put up
actual
the ingredients. He put
descendants from the mountain?
This fucking shit.
that one's not mine. So.
Did you hear us now?
I'm waiting. What Vikings said.
Oh, there it goes. Motherfucker.
Mather Facker. Well, Margot's down again.
Yeah, both of us are. All right, there we are.
I believe. Hey, you're back.
All right, can you hear us now?
Yeah, you say you're actually really, really clear.
All right.
Alrighty.
But say something. Yeah, Jared is too. Holy shit.
Oh.
And the camera's a lot better too. What'd you do?
Something.
It just checked off and checked back on again.
Wow, this is like the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh shit.
Other than Joyce's.
Jared,
That
yeah,
whole
I'm
other
gonna send you
conversation
this
never
video, man.
What?
This doctor, I guess. I'm gonna send you this video. This
It's not
doctor,
an
I
Onion
guess,
article,
she
is it,
got
or like the hard
box
times,
to
or-
the vaccine.
Hard times just showed you who was in
And,
jail.
It's like Hustler. It's one of those little ones that they.
No, Hard Times has like I follow them on Insta, dude. It's a whole
Oh, I
bunch of.
thought you were talking about.
No, not the paper. The
newspaper,
website. They
right.
got a whole bunch of satirical.
Oh, the ones at those Arab places on the corner by the
You're
register.
always looking for your neighbors and shit.
Always looking for my neighbors.
Every time I see one on the counter, I'm always looking through it.
Yeah. Sorry, Margo, we didn't mean to cut you off there, but.
Usually, I'm looking to see.
We're not actually cutting you off. There's a little bit of a lag, so by the time we realize you're speaking, we're like, we were talking.
Marco's a lag.
Sorry.
Yeah, it happened.
Yeah.
I just sent you that video, Jared.
All right.
That's some pretty crazy shit, man.
Crazy shit.
I only got the one. I didn't look into it myself because I got to research that. I just can't be out there preaching that this is real. But if it is real, I'm kind of got mixed emotions about it because I mean, if it's doing its job and it's like the stem cell type shit,
right?
Then hey, why are we funding it? I mean, these people are fucking doing this shit anyways, and you guys are all pro-choice and all that shit. If you're all pro-choice and fucking all about killing your babies, then, we can use your babies to help people. I mean, but then again, it's kind of fucked up that they were that specific that they had to have, like, little white babies' lungs. It was like real specific. They said Caucasian 14-week-old male baby lungs.
I'll check it out. I mean, I will always go through information and see what it says.
Yeah,
until I check it out. I can't.
What do you feel about it? I mean,
it sounds funky, but until I do any research at all, I can't have an opinion on it. You know what I mean? Like,
I wouldn't
have a clue what I'm talking about. It'd be,
I guess it's
illogical to form an opinion at this
point. To me, it's like the stem cells thing. I think if you're gonna use these things, and as long as they're not just killing kids for no damn reason, like some hostile type shit. If you're giving up your kids for an abortion, anyways, let it help somebody.
What's the difference between that and organ donation?
Exactly.
Regardless of your personal viewpoint on it, I don't believe the government has any right to regulate abortion. As barbaric as that may sound to some, I don't mean that I'm not making a personal stance on whether I agree with it or not. Only what I believe the government's power should be. And I don't believe they should be able to have that power over people. I just don't. Not the government.
I think the second there's only two parties that have that should be involved in that decision, and
correct.
A lot. There's other instances that one
and that's
party,
the one that took the. That's the one that. The two people that made that little motherfucker need to make that decision. Period.
Now, if it's a case of like rape or some shit like that,
it's
then,
totally different.
Yeah, one party's gone.
Again,
but
everything
totally
hinges.
Totally different.
Every single thing in life hinges on adult and consent.
The problem is,
if either of those two conditions are not met, then it doesn't work.
There's an issue.
Right.
Yeah, then there's an issue.
Now, what were you saying, please?
The problem is most people over the age of 18 are not actually adults. People that are 40 aren't actually adults.
I don't disagree with you.
So you were talking about a situation that, yes, needs adult input, and people are too selfish to fucking actually have adult input.
I don't disagree with that one bit. But that's still not a governmental...
Yeah, she got us there.
That's still not a governmental... I believe the government should have the power to intervene.
The government should never have the power to intervene. The problem is people need to step the fuck up, or government feels like they have to intervene.
Yeah.
See, this is where the only thing where I could even give, the credence to the government stepping in. We had a system already that wasn't the best in the world, but you had up to a certain date that you can have an abortion. Again, whether you're for it or not, I'm not taking any kind of stance on it. I'm just saying that is what it was. Now this whole, being able to fucking kill a kid when it's high-fiving the doctor, that shit is out. And if you can't use your brain enough to fucking think that that's wrong, then the government gotta tell you, no, you should have did this shit fucking months ago. There's adoption agencies. There's a good family out there that'll probably take care of that kid. Quit being a selfish cunt.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Hit her!
Now,
Right.
That's where I agree with you, because I don't personally agree with the option of abortion. Now, no, that's not true. I don't agree with going through with an abortion. I do, however, support a woman's decision, a couple's decision, let me fix it, to decide whether or not they should make that choice for themselves.
Right, that ain't my business or anybody else's.
So in that case, if I were in the situation, I don't believe I would have one. Obviously, I've got 5 fucking kids. But, I do believe that
I got 6.
Susie, whoever, should have the ability to make her own decision, her and her baby daddy, whatever, and the government has no business telling them what they can or cannot do. I do, however, think that there should be a law in place determining exactly when there is a cutoff point. Because, yes,
there's gotta be a cutoff, man.
But that's where you're never really going to get a clear one. Because you're not going to be able to get anybody to stand up to the Catholic Church and the doctors and the insurance company. Right. You're not. Because nobody's going to come out and put their ass on the line and say... life is at conception. Life is at heartbeat. Life is at 25 week. Life is at nobody's birth. No one is going to actually put their ass on the line. It's a political disaster to actually commit that far into it. It's never going to happen.
When do you think that cutoff point should be?
Heartbeat.
Margot?
I think they should have left it alone. I mean, it's a necessary evil as it is.
In your personal opinion, when do you think that zygote is a life?
Well, that's...
I want to know... I don't want to know what... What do you personally think?
Me personally, the first rule sticks... the first trimester?
Yeah. When? That first trimester is 3 months long,
That's the way it was when I was...
So you're saying after 3 months. I just want to make sure.
After 3 months, that's it.
Okay, so up to 3 months. What stage is?
Which stage is heartbeat?
Yeah.
I want to say that
The heartbeat is like fucking...
like 10 days.
Is
the
it 10
heartbeat
days?
Is real quick,
I'm going to find out right now.
I mean, I know it's not. I know it's not 3 months. I know
that
it's
was
not
the
3
rule
months
when I was growing up.
Right.
And it ain't my rule. That was just the rule.
Now, I did have a wonderful conversation with my daughter, who said there are people that will argue because
5.5 to 6 weeks.
5.5 to 6 weeks. Thanks, Greg. Is when 5.5 to 6 weeks is heartbeat. Now, the conversation I had with my daughter, my oldest daughter, Sarah, she said that actual brain, like...
That's where I was...
What was it? What's it called? Brain...
Development. Like, you form a brain.
Activity,
okay. Activity. Thank you. Brain activity is when some people say that there's life. Because if a person, a grown adult, is on life support and there is no brain activity, they consider that person medically dead. So, her argument is, when a fetus has brain activity, not just heartbeat, that's when the fetus is considered alive.
That's where I
that's pretty sound.
Was going to weigh in at. To me personally, I feel that it's when there's brain activity, because up until that point, there's absolutely no shadow of a doubt, without any doubt at all, that it's not feeling anything and it has no emotion.
I can see that. At that point, it's just organs doing what they're supposed to do.
It's just an organism.
Okay.
It's just an organism. It's no different than any other organism at that point.
Now, if you want to go,
once you have that,
studies of it.
I'm not even going. No, I'm not even going off any. I'm not quoting any scientific proof or anything. To me personally, once there is the, I just want to make my once there is the even slightest possibility that it can have physical feelings and emotional awareness. To me, that's the line.
This, according to this, Greg, says, Mayo Clinic says 4 weeks, by the way.
Okay, well,
for heartbeat, but go
what
ahead.
I'm reading about the brain activity, it gets at the same time that it starts getting a heartbeat. So it'd be between 4 to 6 weeks.
To me, that would be the cutoff point. To me, personally.
This is where I disagree with you from what I've learned just in research on other shit that talked about it. Technically, researchers have found that life actually starts after the first split of the first cell. The organism that doesn't have emotion or whatever does have gives off energy impulses, gives off synapse impulses that are equal to your emotions, your life, your whatever, you're growing. It's a constant. It's like a building of a computer, slowly but surely.
But it doesn't have the SIM
that
card.
was just the first piece of the computer. And if you want to go like religiously, it has a soul as soon as it splits off.
Nope.
So,
I don't. Because they vary so much. And that's where it can be a personal decision. If the cutoff is at heartbeat or functional brain activity, but you personally feel it's at birth, then don't go, at conception, well, then don't go fucking get one. It's not for you. But that shouldn't be the rule for everyone.
I have a point. When you guys are ready.
Right.
I'm ready.
Okay. So what I find interesting, though, in just thinking about this, from a female's perspective, and going through 5 pregnancies, is that if the heartbeat starts between 4 and 6 weeks, brain activity between 5 and 6 weeks, there are a good number of females who do not even know they're pregnant until it's already considered heartbeat and brain activity happening.
Can I then, and this is just this, honestly, as many times as we've had these kinds of discussions, and a lot of us have had these discussions, not even just in our group, but they've happened over our lifetime. We've been involved in these conversations with people. This is the first time that this hit me. And I'm not trying to come off as snarky or belligerent, or then maybe something that as a society we need to think about. Is if you're going to be sexually active as much as you should be proactive in your contraceptive choices, this is all personal opinion, maybe, just maybe, if you are someone that would be at that time in their life or situation that would be considering abortion if you got pregnant.
Right.
If you're sexually active, maybe you should make regular P-stick tests a part of your routine somewhere along the way.
Totally agree with you. And
man, if you're gonna use your fucking vagina as a baby cemetery, fucking get your shit taken out.
Well, but you know what? Insurance companies won't let you.
Right.
If you are too young, are not married, and have not had enough children or a child yet, the insurance company will not pay for you to have that done.
Don't some places still require the husband sign off?
The husband has to sign off.
I think I had to sign off on yours.
But even not even that.
Like, hell yeah.
I 100% agree with you. Hold on. I 100% agree with you that as a society, we should be thinking about our consequences of our actions, and maybe we shouldn't be sexually active as if we're not wanting a baby and all of those things. However, we just had a conversation not long ago that 40-year-old motherfuckers can't even talk about their feelings with each other.
I know.
So you really want 13 and 14-year-old people
right.
to go out and be proactive about contraceptive. That's not going to fucking happen.
No, I'm not.
I'm
not. Remember, we're talking. I mean,
I'm just saying, like, realistically.
By default, we are talking about slightly older, but no, I don't even expect 18 to. I don't even expect some 30 and 40-year-olds to.
No.
And I wasn't actually
for the younger of the people, that's more of an information thing. We have to just, the best key on that is just information. For the kids,
I wasn't in any way bringing that up as like, to me, that was just an idea I had.
I agree. It was a light bulb for you.
Because I don't expect. There's a shitload of people I don't expect to do it.
Right. But you know what? People don't. And I agree with Marco.
I was just throwing common sense out there. I don't know why I have it.
I know, but listen, I do agree with Marco because it's an informational thing.
I agree with that.
Okay, look, my 15-year-old little asshole knows that if you go to, I want to say it's like HIV.org, you get it's for fucking free, a huge packet of condoms in the mail. Now, not every kid can do that because they can't have condoms showing up at their house because their parents will freak the fuck out.
You know how many places
there are so many places that you can get condoms for free.
Yeah, you can go anywhere.
Ain't they like 50 cents at the Arab store?
Right.
Can't you get a single for 50 cents or some bullshit like that? At the
I don't know. If you could get a Lucy for 25 cents, you should be able to get a condom for fucking 10.
You can get a loose rubber cheaper than a loose cigarette.
Honestly,
but the information's not out there, and people don't know about that. Those kids don't know. They don't know that they can do that.
And take it. And the only reason why I say this shit is because I went through it. I was that dumb kid who didn't give a fuck, who didn't wear the rubbers, who and I look at my kids now, and a lot of the decisions I made, and a lot of things that I might have said or shit that I try to push, and I'm glad that things didn't go the way that my dumbass kid self wanted them to go. And there was lack of information. It was lack of guidance on how things were supposed to be. So I try to guide my kids that way, and I slacked a little bit on a couple of the older ones, and I see the effect of that.
I don't know. Maybe if you slacked, or maybe that was just
growing process. Man. You weren't there yet.
Maturing.
So you can't give information you don't have, and your older ones, you were still a baby. So you still didn't have all that information. So, but you know what? Your older ones, they're making it.
It was a learning process. I'll tell you.
You'll be all right. They'll be all right.
Be water, my friend.
So what? We had about 10 minutes left here. So we're gonna give our shout out to everybody.
we still got almost a half hour because we started late.
Fuck, is it that or it ain't that early?
No, but we have that.
We started late.
Yeah, we started late. So.
Yeah, but it's almost midnight, man. So we'll wrap this.
Yeah, whatever you want to do, man. It's on you.
Don't be a pussy.
All right, so shout out to all our new listeners, all our new followers. Shout out to Big Sniz and Joyce. Thanks for coming in. Kitty Cat somewhere in the corner. She chimed in here and there. Shout out to the Airgasm guys, Don Cody, Obsidian Earth, Glass Alice, John Dante breaking that new one out on Friday night at midnight. Check out Scotty's show. He's going to be on there. And once again, I'll tell everybody, don't believe a fucking word we say. Look that shit up yourself. Get your own goddamn knowledge. We could be wrong, but, we could be right. What up?
Hey, I had this idea for a thing, and you didn't hear any of it apparently. But, I started researching succubi, incubi. And so, I do want to hear your opinion on it. I wanted to hear Mr. Old Guy's, too. But,
we got to do another show.
Later.
We can do that. We got a little bit of time. All
right, because, listen, I was watching a TV show.
The first succubi... Okay.
All right. I was watching a TV show. That's what sparked my interest. So I started doing a little bit of research, and it's in its rudimentary phase. Okay, and I realized that it's mostly a religious belief in succubus. Way back in the beginning of Samaria.
A lot of different religions.
Well, that's why I wanted Mr. Old Guy's opinion, because there are so many religions: India, Arabia, Native Americans, Chinese, the Greek, Judea.
I think the first
Judaism
one,
and
where it comes up in the Quran, and they're talking about it in a lot of Muslim religions, and it goes along the line with female jinns. A lot of the more Catholic or Christian religions go with the succubus as being more along the lines of Lilith. After God cast her out of Eden.
Right. Because
who was
apparently
actually
Lilith
Adam's
was
first wife.
Right, Adam's first wife. But like the demon's better than Adam.
And then if you follow that story, a lot of questions that come up, because we never learn in Genesis or any of the writings in the Bible about what was outside of Eden. It's just kind of assumed that the earth was Eden.
Right.
And no, there was gates on Eden. There was a border. There was there was angels at the gates of Eden. But now outside of Eden was where Lilith was banished to, and she found a friend. I forget what her name was, and she was a demon or a dark one. Well, wait a minute. Where the fuck did demons and dark ones come from? If God just created the earth.
Well, no,
so then
because
that's where they talk about
supposedly
the jinn.
in Sunday
jinn
school
was made from fire.
Sunday school angels came first, and God was like, "This ain't right. Let me do humans next." That was what I learned, but from what I researched just so far,
that doesn't account for demons.
See, in my head, when I heard angel, I automatically, I automatically put in place the equilibrium, equivalent of angel. So I go demon. In my head, I just automatically assumed they were there, and at the same time, because
that's kind of the story of the Watchers. It's a big toss up. But I mean, I'm going as far as the whole Adam and Eve story with Lilith.
Right. Lilith.
There's a big. Like the curse that God put on Lilith was she was to have like 100 children a day, and they were to be murdered just as a punishment. Well, first of all, who's fucking her? Second of all, how the fuck are you having 100 kids a day, no matter what? Even they're just
no. There's not enough time in the day for that. But although time frame is relevant,
and then that's why.
But apparently that's where, and then that's the other thing. I said time frame in those realms apparently is relative, but apparently Lilith's children were called Lilam or Lilam, and that's where in the Christian world, the Judeo-Christian belief, that's where the demons came from. But if she was already sleeping with demons, then that's not where they came from. So that caused a problem in my head.
That goes into the Quran, where it's the talk of the jinn. They said the angels were made of light, the jinns were made of fire, and the jinns were made first, and they thought they were superior to the angels, and they were the ones who pretty much consumed. They were on earth.
That's what she said.
Now we're the problem. We're all just a problem. And put out some education on the.
He's releasing an album at midnight. So, I don't know, maybe we'll get to play a little bit of that before he releases it. So, come check that out.
Sneak.
From Friday night.
Fantastic Nights in Town in Salem.